Women's relative absence in the field of science. It's a concern that we all have today, and the world as a whole is working towards greater opportunities for women and girls in science.
Why is science not taking off among African women?
There are many reasons. One is it's not looking attractive to them. The way we teach it in our classrooms, the way we guide our young women, even before they get to the secondary, tertiary education level. Because when we talk about professions in science, we're not talking about primary education, of course. We're talking about secondary, usually tertiary education. That's where we begin to recognize women as being, quote, in science. But if in the primary or junior secondary level, we begin to steer girls away from certain areas that we feel are not feminine enough, how do we expect them to be interested in those areas, and once they are in those areas, to endure in those areas? That's one reason. The second is the workplace. The workplace for science graduates has to be interesting. It has to be gender sensitive. We have to provide the protections for women and girls in these areas. In a way, although on International Women's Day today we're talking about women in a changing world of work, in a sense, the world of work for women and girls in science is unchanging, and it has to change. It has to change to accommodate their interests, to bring fields and approaches that are exciting to the African countries so that women and girls will feel that this is something that they can do and enjoy.
How to empower African girls and women today in science, basically?
Well, empowerment will come from several things. One, give them opportunities to get into school in the first place, because too many girls still do not enter, continue, or succeed in school, including primary education. Because if you don't get into primary school, you're not going to make it to secondary and tertiary, where you will be called a scientist. So that's number one. Get them into school, retain them in school, and make sure that you teach in a way that is sensitive to their needs, their passion for learning, so that they can succeed. That's one. Two, make the field interesting for them. The approaches, the examples that are used in the classrooms must be interesting. By the way, one of the ways in which we need to retain girls in school is by making sure that they have role models. We talk about this a lot, because as a young girl, if you're in school and there are no role models that are women scientists, you do not think about becoming a woman scientist when you grow up, because you see that the women are perhaps in the softer, social sciences, if at all, or in your community, women may not even have the opportunity to have gone to school. So these are the ways to allow girls to get into these areas so that they will be able to appreciate science and remain in science. But of course, at the end of the pipeline, we've got to make sure that we have opportunities for work. Work that is meaningful, that is rewarding, where the discriminations that we see in many workplaces against women do not continue. So these are things we've got to address: the entry, the retention, qualification, employment, and discrimination, eliminating the discrimination against girls.